Leave No Trace, new film by Deborah Granick and Made Winter's Bone, based on the novel My Abandonment by Peter Rock, starts with a father and his teenage daughter living off-grid in Forest Park in the woodlands on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. They are living a completely under-the-radar existence. They make fire from earth. They gather water from the sky. Every now and then they go into the city to get supplies, which he gets by selling his medication because he's a veteran who is suffering from PTSD. But basically, they're living under the radar. No one knows that they're there. They move from camp to camp so they don't get detected until one day a jogger spies them, and the next thing, the authorities turn up.
Hands on the back of your head. Hey, still. Don't move. Anything on you that's gonna hurt me?
Just the knives.
Why were you running? Huh? You alone out here?
My daughter's with me. Tom, come out! Tom, come out!
Stand up. Come on.
Dad?
Hold on there.
Cooperate. We haven't done anything wrong. Cooperate.
We don't know who you are, what's going on. Let's go.
Dad!
So Thomasin Harcourt Mackenzie as the young girl, Tom, and Ben Foster as her father, Will. What then happens is, initially when they're arrested, taken into custody, they're separated, they're interrogated, they're subjected to this very strange interrogation process in which they're asked a series of questions. He has to answer questions that are asked by a computer. The world seems very alien to them. And yet, slowly the social services come to realise that although they've been living an off-the-grid existence, which they cannot continue to do as far as they're concerned, that actually the father-daughter relationship is a healthy one, that she has been educated well. She's smarter than most school kids of her age. She's just lived an alternate lifestyle. So there is an echo in there, I suppose, of Captain Fantastic. And they are forced to move back into the world. They're taken to a home somewhere further out, that's near rural, but is still living in a house. And how they then respond to that, how they then react to that change, and how they differently respond to it is kind of the central thesis of the movie. I loved this film for a number of reasons. The director has done a lot of research about, veterans with combat stress and people living off the grid and people who are kind of outsiders. And one of the things that her movies do regularly is look at outsiders and people who are outside the normal run of study. And all that is a very big part of the film. And it's all done really convincingly. I believed that they had been living in those woods. I believe when I see them making fire and everything, I believe that well. But actually, one of the other things that's a kind of archetypal text at the back of all this, and both the guy who wrote the book and Deborah Granick acknowledge, is The Tempest. It's a story about a father and daughter in which the real catalyst for change is the central character, is Tom. And despite the fact that it's their discovery by the outside world that forces their life to change, the real change is that, as she says to her dad, I'm growing. And he says, I know. And what she wants and what he wants are possibly different things. However, she is very attached to the lifestyle that they have had. At one point, someone says, well, you were homeless. She says, I wasn't homeless. We lived in the woods. And she said, well, that's not a home. He said, it is. It is a home. It's just that people didn't think it was. The things that are brilliant about this film is, firstly, the relationship between the father and daughter is it's so brilliantly done. It's just fabulous. The whole of the first movement of the film, when they're in the forest, there's so little dialogue. In some movies, you'd have people explaining the plot and standing up and, how did we get here? What happened to your mother? How did all that happen? None of that. Literally, the dialogue is, good work, well done, pass that can. And it's all to do with looks. Second thing is that the performance of the father is great because, on the one hand, he has this slightly sinister, slightly messianic edge. There's a certain moment that reminded me of an old film from 1981, which I think is called Ticket to Heaven, about a kind of a religious cult, which incidentally will turn up in another film we're going to review this week. But it's played with an awful lot of sympathy, but there is a strange edge to his experiences that he's had to withdraw from the world, and he does have a slightly messianic touch. And as far as Tom's character is concerned, it's like you watch her develop and grow into her own individual sense of self during the course of the movie. And it's not done through dialogue. It's not done through, I felt this and now I feel that. It's done through action. It's, show, don't tell. It's a film which is a film. It's a film in which, watching these characters, you understand their world, you understand the conflict, you feel massive amounts of compassion for them, you are engaged in their individual struggles, you believe in the world they exist in. Also, brilliant use of live performed songs, things like Dark Holler, and almost performed live, reminding us that before in Granick's work we saw that performance of Fair and Tender Ladies, which is so chilling. It's a film that does not, I do not say this lightly, it does not put a single foot wrong. And even as it moves towards its final conclusion, you keep thinking, don't mess this up, don't mess this up, don't mess this up. And it doesn't. It is, well, I thought it was overwhelming. I'm actually starting to get...
Okay, well, we need to stop.
Okay. I just thought it was
stop now.
Great.